Good morning, morning.
Good morning, greetings. Hello, everybody. It is, for those who celebrate, Good Friday today. So thank you for joining us.
Just
Yay!
give me a moment. You can tell us who the blah blah. Tell them
I'll
who
tell
we
them
are.
who we are. We are all in alignment with Anita A., my cute little partner over there, and Cheryl V., your stress reduction gurus. And we have been coming to you live on Fridays for over 4 years now. We talk feng shui, or we call it fun shui, because we like to put some fun in everything we do. And our topics and themes are typically based, I say typically and then I say it hesitantly, from the Feng Shui Personal Paradise card deck of Tara Catherine
There we go.
Collins. And it's always entertaining because everything is energy. And when we're doing something in, of course, it's in the quantum field, and more often than not, the cards that come up are relevant to what's going on in our lives. Surprise, surprise, right?
Imagine that.
Imagine that. So, the
Hmm.
three cards that flew out of the deck face down just before we came live were number 34, Single Man's Bedroom. And I don't know who this card's for, but I was just texting with our youngest son about 10 minutes ago. Who is a single man? Number 23, the kitchen. And of course, this is the busy, potentially busy for many people, Easter long weekend. And then number 17, the foyer, which, if you're having company over, odds are yours is going to get a lot of use this weekend. Where would you like
Well,
to start, my partner, my friend?
wherever you want to start. That's an interesting
That is
combination.
an interesting combination. But well, let's start with the single man's bedroom because who knows where it goes from there. So now, when I think about, well, you have a single man and you're not necessarily in your house, but one of your sons is single. One of
Mm-hmm.
ours is single.
Mm-hmm.
And we happen to have our son's, the youngest son's dog staying with us for a couple weeks because he's renovating and they're in the middle of doing drywall and mud, and he has a 2-year-old chocolate lab moose who is strong, who is busy, who wants undivided attention 24/7. So although our house was quiet, it is not anymore.
Hmm.
So, what does
And
go ahead?
is Moose a male?
Yep.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Maybe the cards for him.
Well, very possibly. Because his bed, I mean, he sleeps, he doesn't sleep on the bed with us. Although we do get a visit every once in a while. But he's so big. His bed, he likes to sleep where he can see out the window and be on guard. And he has one of those barks that, trust me, I think he scared the crap out of the mailman yesterday. Poor guy. Wasn't quite prepared for that.
Well, I think a single man's bedroom would be similar to a single woman's bedroom
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in the fact that we would first recommend that, you make some space for
Mm-hmm.
that significant other. And in your son's case, when he has this chocolate lab that demands attention and all of that, chances are maybe Moose sleeps in his bed, and then there is no room for a significant other, a
Right.
partner,
Mm-hmm.
right? Who knows? Um, and for any men listening out there, or if you have a son like Cheryl and I that is single, that's wanting to attract a significant other, then it may be um, improving the quality of the bedding, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just think of my own son, like he has a blanket that he packs around to work, and I mean, it's kind of like his little comfort thing. Well, if you're trying to attract a woman, they might want something a little bit more um opulent, let's say, or
Fresh.
or right, or sheets that maybe are a little bit more comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. Because I think, men don't all often think about beautifying a space.
Right.
And I guess that would be a more relevant word. It's to beautify the space from a woman's viewpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Okay. That would be the number one thing. And
Right.
then of course, again, making that spatial equality. So not having the dog sleep on the bed with you, making room,
Mm-hmm.
setting your intention that, hey, I'm making room for someone new to come on in.
Exactly. Exactly. And I don't know the sleeping arrangements, but I do know here that the dog sleeps out in the living room. Wherever his bed is, that's where he sleeps. So I don't know the sleeping arrangements. I'm going to stay away from that one, but I do know in Taylor's case he's under renovations and the decor and everything else, like right now, not a welcoming space because drywall's going up. There's dust and mud and yada yada yada. So we'll see down the road where things wind up in that circumstance. But
And well, and if he's renovating, and then obviously he's going to be putting the space back together,
mhm,
and you can definitely give him some insight in how to set up his bedroom if in fact he wants
he wants
to.
it exactly.
Hmm.
Yes, yeah, that's
Good
a
morning. Good morning, Janet. Good morning, Sharat. Nice to have you.
good
There's
morning.
there's a man there joining us. Yay.
Yay.
All the way from New York. New York. Hmm.
Excellent. Well, good morning to everybody joining us. So, we were just talking about the first card that came out, number 34, Single Man's Bedroom. And depending upon what you're after, what that single man is after, if they're after attracting a partnership or if they're quite content staying single, different ways of decor, different ways of looking at your space. So, let's go from there to the foyer and talking about the foyer and the entrance into our spaces. Because for the foyer, for some people in a house, ours is open, right? It's open to the living room, it's open to the kitchen, it's very open. If you're in an apartment, that could be the same kind of situation, or you might have a very narrow, I'm just seeing a vision of a very narrow doorway entryway. That's your foyer. What kind of condition is it in? Can you open the door all the way? Is there space for people to come in? Are they welcomed? Or are they greeted with a mirror that's reflecting the energy to say, go back out the door? So, some things to consider with the foyer. What do you want to add in there, Miss Anita?
Well, again, it's about that feeling of welcome, right?
Mm-hmm.
Making
Mm-hmm.
sure that whoever's coming into that space feels welcome, that it feels comfortable, that there is clear direction as to where do I go next,
Mm-hmm.
where do I put my shoes, where do I hang my jacket, those kind of things. Because if there's confusion when you're first entering into a
Right.
space, and it doesn't matter
Mm-hmm.
if it's the foyer or a bedroom or living room, kitchen, right? We want to eliminate that confusion.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it has to do with the placement of furniture. Sometimes it has to do with the placement of art. But again, we just invite you to come into your home as a guest would.
Exactly.
And what do you see in the foyer? Check in with your body, see how you feel. Do you feel tensed up or do you feel like that? Those are all really good clues. And that could be the same for the bedroom. Stand in the doorway, just check in. How does this room make me feel?
Mm-hmm.
Round, energetic eyes and say, what in here maybe isn't aesthetically pleasing? Because again, the
Right.
three pillars or the three reasons we want to practice feng shui in the first place is to create an environment that is safe, comfortable, and aesthetically pleasing. And when
Mm-hmm.
we think about safety, we think about how does that affect the autonomic nervous system, right? So that's checking in with your body. When we think about comfort, we think about, again, that emotion. How do you connect with that space emotionally? Because that's the comfort. And then aesthetically pleasing is that connection that we have to nature, to the unseen energy. It could be memories of a loved one, all of those kind of things.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Let's go back to the autonomic nervous system because I got a real um, talk about that. And the comfort. And as you were mentioning, Anita, the reason we want to practice feng shui is to create a space where we do feel comfortable and safe. And our autonomic nervous system responds. And then that gets the hormones going. And either you're feeling safe and comfortable, or you're in flight, you're in fear. So when you think about the flight and fear mode, that's your autonomic nervous system talking about it. So even going for a walk in nature, sometimes you're feeling very grounded, very comfortable, very at peace. And then you may come into a space or an area where you're on instant high alert. What is your space like? Are you feeling safe? Are you feeling comfortable? We do it intuitively, right? Think about when you've gone into a restaurant. Do you tend to sit or choose a space or ask for a booth where you have a back that's more comfortable? You're not situated in the center with all the energy surrounding you and you're on alert, so to speak. So, you want to talk a little bit more about the autonomic nervous system?
Well, it is right automatically,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's your body automatically responding to the cues that you pick up in your environment through your five senses.
Mm-hmm.
Sight being, one of them. So what do you see? What do you see in that foyer? What do you see in the kitchen? What do you see in that bedroom? That then your body takes the cue and automatically responds. And that's why we say check in with your body. Check in, if you're feeling relaxed or if you're feeling a little bit tense.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're feeling tense, then the brain gets the little signal that says, oh my gosh, this person is in stress mode. We have to release cortisol and adrenaline to help regulate their nervous system, right? So if you're in stress mode more than you are not, then what does that do to your physical body?
Mm-hmm.
Then you have health issues and blah, blah, blah. It just, it's a vicious little cycle. And it could start with just simply, how do you feel coming into your own home?
Mm-hmm.
And then the opposite of that, if you feel, then the brain gets a little cue that says, "Oh, this body is happy. Let's, release some happy hormones, some endorphins, some, you know, right? And those hormones actually do great things in your body. They boost your immune system. They
Mm-hmm.
help you have more vitality, so that you can show up in the world and have a beautiful Easter dinner, right?" So
Exactly.
I know that was a little bit more than a little, but
Well, no, but it's all
anyway.
helpful and it ties right back into what we talk about all the time, our environment. Because our environment is influencing our bodies, our autonomic nervous systems, and we just may not be aware of it or how it's affecting us. So the explanation you just gave, I think, is very helpful. Type in the chat if that was helpful for you. Did that make sense to you? Did you have a question along those lines that we can answer for you? And we can take a peek at those as we talk about the kitchen. Anita mentioned that ties into the kitchen and your food preparation and how comfortable you are in the kitchen. And the kitchen is often a space where the families gather, where a number of people are at the same time. So how does it feel when you're in there? I know our society has gone away from individualized rooms and designated room spaces with walls. We're now more of an open kitchen plan so that the person that is doing the majority of the cooking and spending time in the kitchen is still included and still involved with everything going on in the other spaces surrounding it, so that they can see what the kids are up to or what people are conversing, or people can sit at an island and have a conversation, and that communication continues to evolve and to circulate. And one person doesn't feel like they're stuck in the kitchen doing all the work. So it's shifting and changing even in our, what's the word I want? It's escaping me. I just said it, but anyway.
I don't know. It was your thought.
So you want to go back to kitchen a little bit more?
Well, yeah, I mean, kitchen, like you said, Cheryl, I mean, they quite often are the hub of a home, the
Mm-hmm.
space where people are gathering. And again, there's that opportunity to check in and see what in this space is causing me stress. What in this space is making me feel uncomfortable or
Mm-hmm.
not safe. And sometimes it may be a matter of just cleaning off the kitchen counter,
Mm.
taking some of those things away that are on the counter that, are talking to you. Because again, we respond energetically based on our five senses. What we're seeing, what we're hearing, what we're touching, what we're tasting, all of those things. And so if there's something in your kitchen that, is making you
Mm-hmm.
tense up, that, oh, you open up that drawer and you just kind of go, "Ugh," you want to slam it back shut, right? That is
Yeah.
stress on your body. So what can you do to calm that energy? Because again, you're going to prepare a meal. So just think about this. If you're preparing a meal, and your first reaction was, okay, I got to get this and I got to get that. You open this drawer and it's a mess, and you open up that cupboard and you can't find the thing. And then now you don't have any space on your counter. And now you're in stress zone, right? You're in that fight or flight mode, whether you realize it or not. And now you're going to prepare food for your family that's coming over for Easter dinner. Well, you were infusing your energy into that food. And
Mm.
how sometimes people have memories that say, "Oh, we used to love going to Granny's house. Oh, she was such a good cook," or so and so, or whatever. And it could be that while they were cooking, everything was joy filled,
Yes.
and they infuse that joy, that energy, that love into the food that they're cooking.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Valid point. I
Because
love that.
everything's energy.
Right. Right. I love that. They're stirring it and they're humming or they're singing or whatever the case may be. That's a perfect example, Anita, of energy and energy not hiding, because we talk about that. And if you're opening up drawers and you're getting annoyed and you're angry that you're stuck in the kitchen by yourself and you're not getting any help, how does the food turn out?
Hmm.
That's often,
Maybe not so good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love
And you know
that.
what? It's really related to prayer, right? It's very similar to prayer. So
Mm.
if you pray over your food, I know my mother does all the time. We have to stop, and she lays her hands over her food and she says a blessing, right? She says, "Thank you. for the hands that have prepared this meal, and thank you for it to nourish my body, blah, blah, blah. And just praying over your food is the same thing, right? Pre- because it's that intention that you're
Right.
setting over it, you're changing the energy of it. So maybe more before we consume it as we're cooking it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that. And with some people, they'll create the environment. So they'll put on some music, something that they enjoy cooking to, or they'll accessorize themselves. So I can remember my mom and my grandma putting on an apron.
Hmm.
And the
Always.
apron was twofold. It was protecting their clothing, but it also was like, okay, here I'm going into this mode. I'm going into this nourishing, motherly, right, mode. And that's the energy going into the food as well.
Hmm. Yeah, so think about somebody's place that you went to and had a meal, whether it's, a relative or something on some special occasion. And, just think about how they were preparing their food, and then was it delicious or was it okay? Was it, mediocre? And you might, oh, yeah, that makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Feng Shui is all about making sense, really.
True.
All of these little tips, it's just, that makes sense. That makes sense. Hmm.
Mm-hmm. I love it. And what's it like walking into your kitchen? How do you feel? So your kitchen has a foyer as well, the entrance into that space. So everything has a foyer, and I think that's our tying in card. The foyer walking into your space, into your home, your place, whether it's your vehicle has a foyer, right? Everything has a foyer. It's the entrance space, the
Hmm.
bedroom, the bathroom, the kitchen. Ours is open. You can enter our kitchen from two different directions. Which way do you come all the time? Which way does the energy typically flow in that space? Is there a coming area and a going area? Restaurants often they'll have one door in and one door out just for the traffic flow. And when one person is off, what's the cumulative effect if someone else is going in the outdoor and someone's coming out the outdoor? Right? There is
Hmm.
no flow. There's no simplicity to the flow of traffic. So same with the flow of energy. That was a different tangent to go off on, but popped into my head.
Well, it's all about eliminating that confusion,
Mm,
right?
mm-hmm.
Eliminating confusion no matter which space you're coming into. Because we want life to be filled with ease and grace, right? Again, go back to those three pillars: comfort, safety, and beauty.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, ah.
And I think when you did that deep breath, I also heard beauty is also in your senses, in your smells, in the fragrance, in the aroma. So when you think of walking into the foyer of your parents' place and mom had just prepared this fabulous dinner, your senses were triggered sometimes outside the door because it's the aroma actually wafted outside. I can remember being outside and my neighbor is cooking and opens a kitchen window and you stand there and you just breathe deeply because it smells so good. So, foyer, men's bedroom, and kitchen. Interesting combination, and as always, ties together.
Mhm.
So,
And
as go ahead.
we
Question.
tally up with an 11.
Yes. So, do you want to do 1 1 or 2?
I think 1 1.
1 1. All right. So, I usually go to, well, always go to the double digitology book, Marilyn Harper Joy Roby. And let me get to the 1 1. Talk about the numerology. A double digit magnifies the aspects. It amplifies the numerology energy to the next level. The 11 or the 1-1 represents beginning anew. Positivity into a spirit of energy that others can feel in their heart. I think we were just talking about that. A
Mhm.
spiritual change or step into a new into a new position of your world. An awakening to your purpose is necessary. 1-1 also incorporates the 2. Yeah, yeah,
And
2.
are you do you want to go to two or no?
I can.
Well, we still have a few minutes left
Okay,
here.
cool. So let's go to the 2. The 2 does not tip over. It has a strong foundation. And what she's referring to is how the 2 is written. So some people have a loop-de-loop on the bottom, and some write the 2 with a straight line. That's the solid foundation that Adironda is referring to. The 2 represents stability, cooperation, emotions carried in the core of the foundation, soft hearts, empathy, a strong degree of patience. That may be required this weekend, or if you're out and
Maybe.
about.
Especially when the grandchildren have had too much chocolate.
Chocolate.
Then and then they don't want to eat their they don't want to eat their lunch, their supper, whatever you're having.
Or anything other
Mm.
than chocolate. The sugar gets them a little bit wound and wired. Too funny. Any comments on the Facebook that we need to address?
Not really. Louise just said that ease and grace sounds like a blessing.
Yes.
Yes. Well, and again, it's all about that intention.
Mm-hmm.
What's our intention while we're doing anything?
Very true. And
Okay.
if you set the intention of ease and grace all weekend,
Maybe, maybe that'll happen.
that'll
Yeah.
happen. Yeah. And reminding yourself of that intention when things may not go as planned, which is also a possibility. Excellent.
Right.
Well, we hope
Mhm.
from our homes to your homes that you have, and if you celebrate Easter, many blessings to you. If you don't, many blessings to you.
Mhm.
Everybody has their own unique choices, their own unique reasons, their own unique lives. Our job, I believe, we believe, is just to bring awareness of the impact of your environment on you so that you look at your space through those energetic eyes. Wrap us up, my friend, my partner.
Well, I think you already did. Just want to say again, thanks for joining us live. Thanks for the, hashtag replay. And we love coming on here every Friday and just having a conversation
Yeah.
because it is all about awareness. And if you can just shift your energy, then you're going to shift someone else's energy. You have the opportunity to do that. So have a blessed weekend, everyone, and we'll see you next Friday for the last Friday of April.
Oh, seriously?
Mhm.
Wow, how that's possible. Anyway, have yourselves a great week. Take care. Bye.